Lawyers of Reddit, what is the best loophole in law? Under maritime law one can simply say I do not agree to be held under these laws and the judge will have to let you go in court. Don't know when I might need to know that, but now I do, and I thank you. In Ontario, if you are entitled to money in a trust, including from an estate, you can make an application to court to have it paid to you immediately so long as you are 18 years old and not under disability. Lawyers have to go out of their way to ensure that trust provisions don't ever entitle the beneficiary to the money absolutely to avoid this. Not a lawyer but a cop here. Minors in Massachusetts can't be arrested for first offense misdemeanors, that is driving drunk, assault and battery, larceny under $1,200. And you know the kicker. They'll always be first offenses because they'll never be found guilty and therefore the first offense won't count. So because of the court system in Massachusetts, you can be 17 and below, drive drunk and crash into your neighbor's mailbox and at most, you'll be summoned to court. Then you can do it again tomorrow. But your buddy who turned 18 yesterday? Yeah, he's going to jail for holding that open can of beer in public. Due to ambiguous definitions of nudity in North Carolina law, you are legally allowed to be nude at any time if you are on private property. For example, if you stood in your open doorway completely nude in the state of North Carolina, you could expose yourself to the whole world and not be prosecuted. Source: internship. Drunk guy passed out in his recliner, woke up and stripped nude, and slept, clearly visible in a busy part of town. Since no city ordinances restricted the loose state law, he was released and charges were dismissed. Edit: just realized you asked for the best loophole. Maybe I could have made a better choice. Edit 2. To clarify, this man lived in a house close to the downtown area. He had a glass door and fell asleep at night time, nude, with the lights on, directly in front of it. As many already guessed, concerned parents informed the police that he was doing so to expose himself to the public. Whether or not that was true, it was legal because he owned the house. Not a lawyer but in some British Commonwealth countries, there's a law which states that if someone trespasses on a plot of land for long enough and uses like their own, they legally own it. In the US, this is adverse possession. The length of time and the particular requirements vary by state or jurisdiction, but essentially if you use someone else's property long enough, openly enough, so they know or should have known you were doing it, and without them trying to stop you, eventually it becomes yours. Usually it's less impressive than moving into someone's house, more like the fence is actually 3 feet over the property line and those 3 feet have been treated as your neighbor's land for 25 years, so now it is his. Not a lawyer, but the Yellowstone zone of death is a pretty big loophole in US constitutional law. Because of some weird jurisdictions in Wyoming, Idaho, and Yellowstone National Park, there is a 50 square mile area called the zone of death where one could theoretically get away with any crime, including murder. This is a result of the 6th Amendment which states that to put someone on trial for a crime like murder, they must be tried within the district and state in which the crime was committed, with a jury comprised only of people who live in that same area. The thing is, this zone of death has no population, meaning there would be no people to form a jury, meaning you would not be subject to a fair trial, thus you would be unable to receive any legal punishment. By the way, I do not condone or support anyone committing any crimes in this zone. TLDR, in a small part of Yellowstone National Park, you can get away with murder because of some weird rules in the Constitution. Not a lawyer, but my favorite is the mega backdoor Roth IRA. Roth IRAs are a type of retirement account where you pay the taxes up front, and then nothing when you collect in retirement, sort of an inverse 401k. Like a 401k, there's a limit to how much you can contribute to one each year. Unlike a 401k, there's also an income limit. If you make more than a certain amount, you can't contribute. However, that isn't the only way to get money into a Roth IRA. You can also put money in a post-tax 401k and then convert it. A post-tax 401k has a higher limit on what you can contribute than a Roth IRA, and no income cap. There's no restrictions on how much can be converted, and there's no penalty for doing this, setting aside weirder rules when you have multiple IRAs. In effect, at the expense of a tiny amount of paperwork every paycheck or two, you can totally ignore the limits and replace them with the higher 401k limits instead. So some upper middle class types can move their retirement accounts around. Big deal. The reason this is my favorite loophole is that it's officially sanctioned by the IRS. People did it for a long time based on wording ambiguities, but in 2014 the IRS put out a publication that effectively said yep, that's how it works. Go nuts. Edit. I think this information is correct, but I'm neither a lawyer nor a CPA. If you take financial or tax advice from a Reddit comment, you deserve whatever comes next. Thank you. To take this to the extreme, people should read up on carried interest and how Mitt Romney managed to amass over $100 million in his IRA. It really is crazy how many loopholes there are with things like this. I am not a lawyer, but I did work as a paralegal in an immigration law office. Under US immigration law, a stepchild is a child whose parent you married while she was under 18. However, if you were to do a fiancé visa, K1, the kid is eligible to immigrate until 21 even if you marry while they're already over 18. So if you ever get a foreign sweetheart who has a kid who turned 18 recently, meet up and file I-129F instead of marrying and filing I-130. Not a lawyer, but in at least 13 states, minors can consume alcohol at any age as long as they are at home with their legal guardian. In the UK it's legal to drink from 3 years old as long as you're on private property. However, I strongly suspect social services would intervene if you started getting your toddler faced. If you have dirt on a celebrity and want to extort her for money, contact a lawyer first to float the story to tabloids. The celeb will find out and negotiations can begin. Stormy Daniels did this successfully, but the poor bastard who tried to extort let him and went to jail because he didn't know any better and tried to do it directly. In Texas you have a privilege against arrest on election day if you are going to vote. It doesn't apply to breaches of the peace or felonies. But I would love to use this one day to invalidate a search pursuant to an arrest. Not a lawyer, an accounting student, but basically if for one reason or another a business you had ownership in fails and your personal assets are at risk, if you live in Florida they can't go after your personal assets. Delaware advantage. Lots of companies have incorporated office in Delaware even though it's clearly not their biggest office. Google is technically registered in Delaware even though it's headquartered in Mountain View, California. There is no state corporate income tax in Delaware. Instead of juries, judges are used. Specialized in corporate law and more understanding to businesses. Don't have to disclose names of directors' information documents. Obligatory, not a lawyer. IRC correctly. Some giant companies have a firm in the Netherlands and in the US. But in some weird loophole, they don't have to pay taxes in either the US or in the Netherlands. Feel free to correct me. I'm sure of at least 7/10 of what I'm saying though. Edit. IRC. While the government of the Netherlands is aware of this loophole, they are scared that companies, the biggest ones that don't pay taxes or in any way contribute to the Netherlands, even if 1% tax would result in millions, would leave for other countries if they closed it. Shockingly, I am a lawyer. And the following works in my jurisdiction, but may not in yours. My favorite loophole that I've taken advantage of is that an undocumented resident generally won't have a driver's license. To get renew a car tag, you have to show a driver's license and proof of insurance. But if the vehicle is owned by a corporation LLC, the driver's license rule doesn't apply. And you don't need to show any proof of citizenship to start an LLC, so I've helped lots of people get and renew car tags or buy and sell a vehicle through this bit of legal trickery. Even for citizens or permanent residents, it can save some hassle to put your vehicle in a corporation LLC's name, as, again, in my jurisdiction, the actual owner of the vehicle doesn't have to appear to renew his/her tag. You can send anyone as a representative of the company to do it for you. I know a few folks who do this for a living. It's crazy what people will pay to not have to take time off from work to go stand in a line and deal with DMV personnel. A husband and wife can't be tried for the same crime. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking the video and subscribe if you want more Ask Reddit.